Welcome. So we meet again. Somehow, somewhere, in some time, I thank you for receiving me. And just as any two souls do, we meet at a crossroads along this long, windy road, oftentimes unpredictable and mysterious. This is the road of first discovering and then learning to accept what is the human experience. So we are all in this together. This is a fall down, pick yourself up, brush yourself off, learn. Don't berate yourself for being a human life that we live in. And this road can be humbling. There can be particular junctures where each and every one of us will be, at the very least, tempted to use our free will to opt out of the more challenging aspects of life, of the inevitabilities, the side of life that is inevitable. One such all-pervasive inevitability is the force of evolution, which drives everything from our experience, lifetimes, relationships. It is somewhat in the design of our experience and creation that we shall learn, that we shall grow, and we shall evolve. So each and every human is learning to human, and we're learning to human in ways that are constantly being refined, constantly being tested, constantly being worked at, so that way we can be the best that we can possibly be. This video is being filmed under a Virgo new moon ruled by Mercury in his own sign of Virgo, stationing direct opposite to Saturn. And this is a very direct sign of clarity, seeing the parts and the pieces, for better or for worse, what's working, what is not, what are the steps involved in this process, what are the phases, how can we align with these seasons, with these cycles, in the most effective, useful, and of course, when it comes to Virgo, all things healthy. We are forming an orientation to life itself to be as improved, as useful, as medicinal, and in service as we can be. There are particular columns or pillars that makes up a strong, powerful, capable, inspiring human being. And one column, one cornerstone that is essential, that is an area where we all must focus and refine throughout our life, is the essential skill set of communication, of using our words. We will use words and language as an example here for a dynamic that we can be experiencing in so many different ways, as there's so many different skills that are essential in order to be a highly effective, useful, medicinal, healthy human being. But you may have noticed that your words have an effect on others, that words hold power. And dependent on how we use words depends on how powerful and effective and generating a catalyst that is specifically what we are intending upon. And that's a word we're going to come back to and really hold, harness, honor, and define, because words matter. And, you know, this language, which is at the backbone of our human species, has, in many respects, created our reality. Abracadabra. Yes, we've heard that our words, our thinking creates our reality. And this is true to the extent that how we break apart and define our surrounding world, all this phenomenon, how concisely we are able to understand, label these parts and pieces of life, which is Virgo in relationship to Pisces. Virgo is the parts and pieces. Virgo wants those parts and pieces to fit together as it's meant to be. There's a right way to do things. And It goes beyond a moralistic right or wrong. It goes into the pragmatic, what is most effective. Maybe we would get a heaping spoonful of Virgo energy if, for example, we went to Butler school. Butler is, made archetype of Virgo. They are trained to be perfect servants. Perfect servants. It's actually a desire for particular souls to be in that role. And it can be a truly wonderful gift and not abusive. Just, obviously certain connotations around slavery can also come up with Virgo. And that's not the point that I'm making right here. This is something we do have to watch out for, and something that we're all learning. It's a serious lesson coming in with this Mercury station that has to do with boundaries. Boundaries and intention are going to go hand in hand. And I hope that this message is helping to clarify, as the intention of these videos, even more so than just speaking astrology or lingo, is to provide information, healing through our understanding. By understanding the parts and pieces of life, we can work with those parts and pieces in a more effective and empowered way. By understanding Virgo right now, this is definitely going to be the test and the opportunity, as we are all experiencing a powerful mind, as well as what may be challenging feedback, realizations or eureka moments that can be profoundly liberating as much as they can be profoundly revealing how much more imprisoned we have been. So this word intention, this could be a word that sometimes gets overused, and then it loses its essence, its definition. And so this is a really important part of becoming an effective human being, is communicating intentionally. But we can bring intention to anything. So what is intention? The definition of intention. And, if we were to have some humorous magic, let's make the word intention more intentional. Let's use the word intention more intentionally. And from this point moving forward, you'll remember every time you hear the word intention, how important it is to honor what this word is pointing towards. For intention indicates a holding of something. There is a direction that is held. There is an objective that is held. There is a focal point that is held like an eagle's eye. That is what forms intention. And as I mentioned, what goes hand in hand with intention is boundaries. Yes, this whole Mercury retrograde is to sort out the distraction and the clutter. All of us are cleaning out our homes, our past, metaphorically and likely physically and literally as well, as it all goes hand in hand. And what we do is, as we reduce, we become empowered. As we focus on smaller and more precise and concise, we become more effective. So this Mercury stationing opposite to Saturn is a powerful signature. It is a signature of honing, of refining, like scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing again and again and again until layer after layer after layer falls off, and we achieve a new level of purity, a new level of cleanliness. There is a dimensional breakthrough which is possible now, as much as that can also be indicating or connected to eureka moments, streams of information, things just being clear. This is what we're doing. This is what is working. Let's set it to work. Virgo is about proving what's effective. It's about measuring. This is what is so essentially missing in spiritual, New Age, and astrological community, is this understanding of how we are on a journey of healing. This is why my channel is intentionally called Rasa Leela Healing. Again, the intention is that we're not staying the same. We're not even jumping into this fairy tale, right? This isn't a fairy tale. We're not talking about ascension. We're not talking about, dimensional hopping. Those things may happen. That's fine. That is not my focus or intention. If we were to use the example of what so many other YouTubers are going to be talking about with this moon or any other astrological time, just think about it. How much of that information and are those words really useful? If every single time is a profound activation, what does that mean? How is it a profound activation? What is specifically being done? What is specifically being held? And this is a judgment. This is a discernment. And this is what is going to be so highlighted, so strong right now. Mercury stationing opposite to Saturn is a powerful, scrutinizing mind. This is also the feedback we receive from others and the world. This is the pressures of the world and the state of the collective being felt, being comprehended and understood by Mercury. So there is, as always with astrology, so many different levels and dimensions. But this particular Mercury station at a deep level can have to do with humanity really starting to recognize its condition. And that is not necessarily fun or comfortable, especially when we're first stepping into the journey of healing, out of the journey of escapism and fantasy. And if there was an intention for my work, it's to assist people in that transition out of this delusional fantasy, this hopeful, naive overexcitement, into embracing what life is actually all about, is our healing. And we don't choose what that healing journey is. This is where we will now get into the full spectrum of Virgo. Mercury is a dual sign. Any archetype illuminated by the collective, by the astrology, we get a full spectrum experience, but particularly this Mercury in Virgo, my guess is that each and every one of us are going to at least get small doses of every single shade of Mercury, Virgo, opposite to Saturn. So let me stop mumbling here, because that's a part of what's affecting my ability to communicate. And believe it or not, I sat in front of the camera for 6 hours yesterday attempting to redo this video in a highly Mercury, Virgo, opposite to Saturn type of way, because it never was good enough. It wasn't being said the right way. And so I kind of conformed to this pressure. So this is the dynamic, is there's this pressure feedback. There is a real need for judgment. And this is again where real magic is in using our words and language to redefine our reality. It is important for us to redefine the word judgment as being a good word. This is one of the most common failures and misconceptions I see out there in the world that causes serious harm to people. This Mercury stationing opposite to Saturn is about discernment. And the literal definition of the word judgment is to discern well. Our capability to judge is our capability to discern, period. We need to be a judge of ourselves. We need to have discernment with who we're hanging around, because this new moon is going to bring up a theme of boundaries for each and every one of us. And we all have very real human limitations. This would be a new moon, and the following month could introduce experiences that test our limits and forces us to acknowledge our human condition and to not feel guilty about it. The Saturn opposite to Mercury can bring up guilt. It's not good enough. You don't have the pieces together. As much as we can embrace that same force to really, really refine and master what we're working with in an extremely powerful way. So let me attempt my best to illustrate some of the full range of where this particular Mercury station can go. It could be absolute anxiety, absolute mental overstimulation, every single thing that's wrong just being like a broken record repeating in our brain. And this is the point. This is what I was mentioning earlier. It can be some of this deeper undercurrent of the Saturn Pisces, is that we live in a world where there is mass psychoses. Our human species is not healthy, has lost its original nature, and has been lost for generations. Therefore, each and every individual, if we are really taking upon ourselves our healing journey, if we're really truly honest, we will recognize our own pathologies. Every single human being has a sense of brokenness in a certain way. And that brokenness is something to really honor and respect. The magic of all of this work is to bring healing at the centerpiece of our life. Healing is not an accident. Healing doesn't result from accidents. There are no accidents. Perfection, which is a Virgo Pisces phenomenon, exists, but not in the way which we typically define it, as being this ideal that personally fits our own personal definition of what perfection is, when in fact, perfection is what is. There is no way to escape the perfection of what is. And though we are maybe unable to perceive or appreciate that, that perfection is inherently in the design of nature itself. Where we are broken is where the light enters. Where we are challenged earlier in life, we grow strength and capabilities. Chiron medicine, which we're going to continue to talk about, Chiron is really highlighting this energy, transiting the North Node in Aries, is where we are broken, the light enters. The journey of our woundedness initiates our journey of healing, where we discover so many new tools, new medicines, new technologies that can be offered and circulated back to the world. So it is actually in proximity, in direct relationship to the pain, the suffering, the heartbreak that we experience. That brokenness is our initiation into our gifts, period. This brings up an enormous, delicate balance, especially with this Mercury opposite to Saturn, because this can go too far. Again, this can be just like a broken record of hypercritical criticisms, feeling empty, feeling lost, feeling pointless, feeling this about the world. What's the point of sharing these things with the world? Where is our motivation if what really matters, it seems like other people don't care about? These are tests of faith. These are faith testing initiations that are forcing our hearts to become strong and to grow up and to really come into the leaders that many of us are going to be very much called into now and these coming months, in the Chironic way, in the way of you got hurt, you know how to fix it, you know the medicine, that is your call to step up, to be that, not in a burdensome way, in a way that's really a gift. It's this hidden blessing of taking what originally feels or experiences as a curse and alchemically transforming that into our greatest blessing. That is not necessarily easy, and this Saturn is going to test via this feedback, this criticism. And at the same exact time, this can be used to refine our words and our thinking. Just as I use the example of, a panic attack, which is where our mind essentially becomes a villain that attacks our ego and our character. And a panic attack is a truly destructive experience that we can catalyze in ourselves? Well, we can use words and our thinking in the exact opposite way. We could create a landscape that is so comforting, that is so uplifting, that is so courageous, boosting our confidence. We could create a broken record, reminding ourselves of everything that is beautiful and good and right, and accepting that life is full of error and mistakes. And when we make mistakes, we don't take it on. And when other people, discharge their stuff onto us, we don't take that on. That's the boundaries that we're really, really mastering now. And again, it comes through the Saturnarian tests that actually does form such a thick skin to develop. Now, a bit about asteroids, because we've got a lot going on with asteroids. First of all, Venus has been joined with Juno these last few weeks and will continue to join with Juno through the rest of this month. Squared Jupiter, the 15th to the 17th, and Venus and Juno simultaneously square Uranus, the 29th to the 30th. Now, this can be profound, a deep romantic heart love, a birthing of creativity that can be very exciting, very romantic, very charged with possibility, how we can express and celebrate ourselves in these new collaborative ways where we get to share what's come out of this Venus retrograde, where we've been talking about months, how this has been a process of letting the cat out of the bag. Now there is this capability to create, to collaborate, to see it reflected through the mirror in the other in a way that's very, very beautiful. Because Venus, station direct, asteroid Juno, is further than Venus, has a slower orbit. But because Venus is just beginning to move forward, Juno and Venus are moving together. And they do a bit of this in this month of September. Venus and Juno have so much that are similar in terms of their qualities. There is this highlighted love energy, heart energy, creative, collaborative energy, the desire to share. Now again, shifts happening with asteroids. Asteroid Pallas Athena has just entered Libra, where she will remain till November 19th. This is going to highlight a Lady Justice type of response collectively. Mars goes opposite to Chiron in Aries in the 24th. Mars transiting Libra, Pallas transiting Libra. These are our warrior planets transiting the sign of justice. As much as this has to do with justice, rectification, balancing out what was unfair or the pains and wounds of the past, so much is also about finding a creative focus. Again, if we were to put all this energy together, there is this tremendous refining taking place. There is a new beginning, a clear slate. Like we're puking something out to clear a slate that's effective, that's clean. We've just lubricated the whole engine. We first had to, de-rust the engine, scrub it down, lubricate it. Now things are moving like this engine is reborn, it's new, it's fresh. Asteroid Vesta enters Cancer at the same time that Pallas enters Libra, and they square one another. And this creates a tremendous creative tension as well as creative energy that can be harnessed. Vesta can be so focused and so devotional, and Pallas Athena can be so creatively brilliant, it can potentially get fanatical. And as opposed to getting swept off our feet, we can simply use that energy and really be, again, discerning what's real, what's not real, what is a dream, what's not a dream. And this is probably leading us into new third possibilities. that it's not exactly what we dreamed it to be in our envision, and our dreams may be a lot more possible than we've ever been led to believe before. In which case, this Mercury station will bring up all of the fears, the anxieties, the guilt that needs to be looked at, so we can refine and hone and intend to become the best that we can be, and to serve others in the best way that we can serve others. So much of these times are healing souls that have in the past been too self-sacrificial. We've given away too much in the past. And what comes is the alarm bells through the body, through the nervous system, that you've gone too much, that you've given too much. So of course, being the one orating and experiencing the astrology simultaneously, I did not find it ironic that I spent 6 hours reshooting this video under the new moon, already feeling guilty because it's too late, that I'm failing my service to help those in the collective. And don't worry, you don't need to, save me or say anything. I am just sharing my own process. Because what I obviously am reflecting on is a need to adjust. That the internalized pressure and standard that I put on myself to create totally free content is not sustaining. It's not beneficial. I also run a community of 4,000 members. It costs me money, time, and energy to run so many free and charitable offerings. And to be totally honest, there is a motivation challenge that I feel where I am really desiring to hone this skill and this astrology into being better and more effective than just my face on YouTube, talking to the same crowd, generating the same kind of response. I am certainly going to be looking for better and more useful outlets for my communication and teaching. Not saying I'm going to pull the plug on these videos, but certainly, again, just as an example of this adjustment that we're being asked for, so that way I can have the energy levels that I need to be able to hold something that's inspiring and motivating. This again has been my second day filming this video. I hope that a little bit more of that motivation came through, because I deeply understand it's not just the words that I say, but how I say them. The place that they come from really does make a difference. So, let's embrace the magic of the opportunity to refine. Let's take something and work it to be as best and as effective as it can possibly be. And just as a final little example here, we could have a prayer or a manifestation that said something along the lines of, "Make my dreams come true." And that's something we say is, let's make our dreams come true. But that's not very intentional. It's not very specific. What are those dreams? Our dreams could be nightmares. You could invoke a nightmare by saying, "Make my dreams come true." So intention, holding the focus, the objective, where we want to go, is essential. It makes all of the difference in the world. It is also not the only thing that is required, as the intention to grow a garden does not grow a garden by itself. But our intention to grow a garden, our intention to learn how to grow a garden, the focus on where to gather the supplies, the intention to find the educational resources and people, that's what grows a garden. So again, I thank you for bearing with me through this particular broadcast. And let's use this word intentional all the more intentionally. Let's use our mind, our words, as a reference point in a way that's like a game, taking everything that's a challenge or disturbing and alchemically transforming that into a gift, into a blessing. This is called utilization. Utilization is one of the most important therapeutic gifts. And this is, again, Mercury opposite to Saturn, therapy time. Us recognizing our pathologies. Is anyone to blame? No. Reflects the collective world. Is the world something to be hopeless, lost, and depressed about? We will feel that from time to time. But there is work. There is techniques and ways to reframe even that as an opportunity. If we are suffering because we are waking up to a world that's lost, we are at the same time holding something unique and different. We have the opportunity to spread that light, to wake this world up. This is the case in any single so-called curse. There is a hidden blessing. In every single blessing, there is hidden challenges and detriments. Not to throw us off from enjoying, but to balance, to curb these overexcitements and deep depressions into being able to hold a realistic experience of the human journey. To be able to hold that experience is to be able to embrace the full spectrum of life, even the challenging parts, and to use them. This doesn't necessarily come served on a silver platter. We have to give ourselves time and grace. Forgiveness is a theme that comes up with Saturn in Pisces. Forgiveness is something that isn't just a letting go. It is an actual acceptance of what is. This is, again, the alchemy, is the accepting of what is. Good, bad, and ugly. That is the real transformation and alchemy. When we take that thing in, when we have the safety to hold what is uncomfortable, that's where that discomfort can unravel, can transform, and what was constricted can be loosened. Not by ignoring it, not by shoving it away, but by paradoxically holding and allowing the constriction to be there. You are safe to be constricted. You are safe to be anxious. It's okay that a broken record is going through your head again and again. Hold that broken record. Just listen to it. Where does the story come from? Who are the characters? This is where we start to breathe in creativity. How can we now personify that anxiety? How do we turn this challenge into something that's symbolic? How do we use these challenges as gifts and opportunities? Not just in a sugar-coated or a nice-sounding way, but in a way that works, that's effective. The proof is in the pudding. This is the ritual magic of Virgo. It is using the body, it is using form, it is using the earth to generate measurable outcomes. Healing means that we're forming a relationship to the whole of life that is as effective as it can be. Set aside silly belief systems, superstitions in totally irrelevant clutter and garbage. Measure our beliefs in how effective it allows us to orient to the whole, how effective it allows us to relate, and ultimately our potential is to hold and offer a medicine back to others. We don't rush ourselves to get there. We have to be full ourselves. But when we get there, that is when we begin to really unfold and radiate a high level of bliss. That our enjoyment becomes the enjoyment of others. And our sharing our enjoyment with others is our deepest heart's joy. In the astrology school, we are learning aspects. It's an excellent time to join because the curriculum is nearly completed. Please stay tuned. There's going to be exciting announcements about the astrology school and the community in the near future. But first, I'm going to wait for Mercury to move off of my IC. Now, again, just a silly little aside here. Typical astrologer people let's wait until the mean transit goes away, and obviously we don't have the opportunity to live that. That's part of this Saturn pressure I'm feeling is, I am this human that is so mutable. I am going insane every other minute, fluctuating with the astrology, fluctuating with the moon. That is how I'm able to so effectively teach and broadcast what is happening in any given moment, because my life unusually reflects this collective in a cartoonish, in a parody type of way. And at the same time, it makes it very challenging to hold the consistent, standard career expectation that I should always have it together, And this is, again, Virgo, Pisces, those people who are priests, therapists, go into healing roles. These are naturally charitable souls. And this is what becomes our life, our struggle. How can we be this best part of ourselves in a way that isn't just going to throw ourselves to the wolves? So thank you for accepting me as I am. Thank you for accepting my full human fallacy. Thank you for accepting my process, which for all of us is going to involve a polarity. So if you're really talented at something, if I'm somebody who, can show up and speak very fluidly, well, there's going to be challenges with blocks around speaking fluidly. Artists, musicians, the blocks are as essential as the creative flow itself. There is a mysterious alchemy and a healing involved in this uncorking. And that's a part of what this potential energy has, is to uncork. See, understand, there's a clog there, uncork it. That toilet is backed up, flush it. So it is a delicate mastery, this balance between true humility and not berating ourselves, not making ourselves too small, not overly highlighting our small story or that crisis experience as being our reality. Instead, we have to create a border, a boundary around the story, the anxiety, the spinning. It's not about eliminating it, it's about, again, holding it. If we can hold at it and look at it like a movie or a picture, it will tell its story in a way that we will gain something, as opposed to having to carry the weight and be burdened by the victim, the one who is, failing or shortcoming in some way, as opposed to us being a human being on a human journey, learning and growing through this experience. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to meet in whatever way along this crossroads. This is a long, windy, unpredictable, and mysterious road of first discovering and then learning to embrace what it means to be a human being. It is a pleasure and an honor to do my best attempt at portraying and reflecting back some of what is.